would appear I set my alarm for 7:20 p.m. instead of a.m. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Taste Like Music. Kram and Joe here. Jason, the godfather of the channel, has the week off. He'll deserve a little time off from time to time. And he decided that the trip-hop classic pioneer band Massive Attack was one he may rather not get too involved with. That said, I don't really think either Joe or I have any sort of idea what Jason actually thinks of this group or if he knows them at all. But obviously Massive Attack coming out in the early 90s, being a pretty revolutionary band and influencing stuff that would happen later on, probably 10 years after, pretty considerably, from electronica to major stuff in pop and obviously acts like Radiohead and stuff like that, with their very distinctive style, led by the collective of 3D, Tricky, Mushroom, and Daddy G. They have real legal names as well, but that's how we know them. And they're also really well known for bringing in just a ton of featured vocal artists to perform on their albums. I knew them pretty well. You know, it's funny, they're one of the bands that get a lot of acclaim from our commenters in the comments section. And it's one of those just gaps and things we have not gotten to talk about. They've got one Song of the Year nomination from me, and like that's the only time we've like ever talked about them. But I'm a pretty big fan. I know Mezzanine and Blue Lines, and then when we did Albums of the Year 2 years ago, I listened to their Heligoland. And then the other two out of the 5 albums I did not know. So 2 brand new albums for me, 3 that I already knew. What about you, buddy?
I knew Blue Lines, but I don't think I had ever even listened to the whole thing. Just the singles, Teardrop, Unfinished Sympathy, maybe like Protection, but never got into a whole album with them, never really explored. Not really my sound. I don't know much about trip hop and electronica in general. So I don't know, a new, interesting experience, broadening my horizons a little bit this week for sure. But it's interesting to talk about a band like this where you don't know, like I don't know their influences really. I don't know who influenced them. I don't know like the chain from them to whoever, like who the big players are in the scene. So it's really like walking in blind to like this whole other genre or even something else that you have no familiarity with. So maybe make for an interesting ranking at least.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how you react to some of these albums, but I'm with you. I know them a good bit and I like Portishead and stuff like that, but obviously in the giant tower of subgenres that we cover, this one is one that I'm not too familiar with. So, it was pretty cool getting into this. If you're new to the channel, we do this every week. Whether we love them, whether we hate them, whether we really know them, whether we don't. Tuesday, we rank all the studio albums of said artists. Wednesday, give you our top 10 favorite song from the artist. And then Thursday, we call it Side 3. It's a little discussion. So don't forget to like, comment, hit the bell for notifications, and please subscribe. We're almost at 10,000. Maybe we are by the time you air this, but do you want to kick it off with your 5th favorite Massive Attack record?
Surely. My 5th, I feel like this is probably the typical Massive Attack fan's least favorite. I'm going with the 100th Window from 2003. On this one, apparently it's basically just 3D. The other 2, Daddy G was, I don't know, having a family or something. And Tricky had left a couple albums back. So just this one dude, 3D. And this one, I listened to these in order. So after the beginning where you get that like trip hop, the dance stuff, the electronica, this one was interesting because it doesn't have samples. Like it doesn't have that sound really. It's almost, I don't know, it's almost like Radiohead, Dovesy, like not in trip hop world at all, more electronic. They had members of Spiritualized come along and play on the album. And then obviously they always have a bunch of guest vocalists. On this one, Sinead O'Connor, which I had no idea she was involved with this group at all, ever, comes along for 3 tracks. And I don't know, her vocals don't quite do it for me. And a lot of the appeal of this band are the guest vocalists, and, you know, all those great female-backed or female-fronted songs, I should say, like Teardrop and Unfinished Sympathy, where you get that like really beautiful voice with like the kind of darker, icy electronic stuff. I like that. Sinead just doesn't quite have the right style, I don't think, for them. I think her songs that she co-writes are pretty decent. What Your Soul Sings, like it kind of sounds like a song, like a rock song, pop song, and less like a trip hop song. So I thought that was interesting, but it just didn't feel like Massive Attack, really. Small Time Shot Away, probably my favorite on the album. That one felt a little like a Radiohead throwaway. But the songs are really long. They're like all 7 minutes. They don't really go anywhere. They don't have like that driving dance beat, or they don't have that like darkness quite like the other ones for me. I didn't hate it. So I'm starting off with 3 stars here for 100th Floor Window. But it was definitely the one, when I was going back through and listening a second, third time, whatever, I really wasn't looking forward to this one at all on second listen, and it just didn't do much for me.
All right. My number 5 is not that album. I'm going with Protection. And it's the only one I don't love. Love being 4 stars or up. I'm giving this one 3.5. I think it's really good. So I'm a pretty big Massive Attack fan. I would say compared to the debut, again, like Joe, I went in chronological order with my listening. A little more funk on this, I would say, a little more straightforward sexiness. Like it's not quite as mysterious. Like they're really just going for it up front. But in a way, it's also a little bit more soothing. So I don't know. The first 2 albums are fairly similar to one another. I think Tracy Thorn sounds amazing on the opening title track. Like you, my favorite stuff is when they have the really dark, mysterious stuff with just that really heavenly female voice cutting in. I don't know if Protection really gels the same way Blue Lines does. The songs are a bit sluggish and not quite as tight, but it's still very good. Weather Storm is okay. There's a little bit too much R&B flair in that synth bassy part for me, but I always love when they do those really picturesque, delicate piano parts. Spying Glass has some reggae to it. Not my favorite lyrics there when it's like, you live in the city, you mind your own business. Generally, I do like their lyrics quite a bit. But at the same time, I'm not crazy when there's so much attention to vocals. Like I really like a minimal, sparse amount of vocals. Better Things is really cool and chill. Got a really cool, like relaxed, stoned vibe to it. Sweet bass line, really good bass lines, really all over their catalog. Feels a little bit more repetitive song to song than the debut does. Needs a little bit more dynamic to the beats and the pace and everything. Although I do love Sly. I think Sly is really cool and exactly what it claims to be in the title. Nicolette on vocals, and the string arrangements are great. One of the bands I don't think we mentioned would be terrific, getting a crack at the James Bond theme when we did that video all the way back, but I think Massive Attack could really nail a good James Bond theme, and Sly kind of has that feel. Also, Heat Miser is wonderful. They do a lot of really cool stuff in the studio to convey what they're going for in the song. Like Heat Miser has that weird, creepy kind of breathing thing like in the background. It sounds like just someone just hovering over you with this out of breath. It's really creepy. Just terrific vision for some of their songs. I love that kind of dub bounciness on Heat Miser. It's awesome. Really ahead of their time. Light My Fire, though, as the closing track, the Doors cover, I do not care for at all. It doesn't fit. It's like, I'm glad they're kind of having fun with it, but I mean, I don't want them to have fun with stuff. They're a serious act and I want to take them seriously. So, it's a little bit of criticism here that doesn't make it a great album, in my opinion, but I do think it's very good. So Protection, my number 5, 3.5 stars.
All right. I also have Protection at 3.5 stars. It is my number 4 for many of the reasons you listed. Chiefly among them, I think, is that cover of Light My Fire live. Like, what, why go live with that? Like that just makes no sense. Completely throws you out of the album. And like that's one of the things. If you're streaming that album, you check to see if you're still on the album when that comes on, because it's just like bizarre, comes out of nowhere. That's like almost a whole half star down just because of that one. Everything else, love Protection, love the smooth R&B, over that. Maybe it's a trip hop beat. It's hard for me to describe. Like I'm just kind of going off. Is it a trip hop beat? Probably. So I'm going to say it's a buzzy trip hop beat. The vocals by Tracy Thorn are fantastic. And I think the lyrics are very good as well, which I can't say I really noticed lyrics that much when I was listening through. Probably need a couple more listens to really parse out what they're talking about. But I did notice Protection, kind of flipping the gender norms on there. Thought that was pretty cool. I wish there was a couple more tracks like that. It's tough with a band like Massive Attack because they'll throw you those things as a pop rock enthusiast loves, and then they kind of don't go back. They kind of like dangle that out there, and then there's more sparseness and more of the trip hop. Karma Coma has a rap by Tricky in it, so it's more of almost a hip hop song on that one. Same with Euro Child. Sly, like you mentioned, I also said groove of a modern James Bond flick. Love the strings in it. I think Nicolette adds that R&B flavor to it that attracts my ear immediately. Weather Storm, that one feels like a little too, I don't know, like Enya, almost like soft rock, kind of like, it's pretty, but it doesn't go anywhere. I don't think it adds much to it. I like the piano. Like it sounds like a rainy day. They do a very good job of sounding like a rainy day. I just don't know why that's in the middle of this album. That's not really what I want or I'm expecting from a Massive Attack song. And I don't know, I think the album is just not as good as the one that came before it, which is always, the sophomore slump, tough to live up to something like Blue Lines. A little more moody, a little less like urgent, and a little less dancey almost. Like you're missing those dancier, faster beats to it. So I think it's fine. 3.5 stars, but not as good as the debut or Mezzanine, Heligoland. It's a hard discography to crack because it's pretty strong, I think, all the way through.
I would agree. They don't really have a lot of really bad moments or songs, but Light My Fire would definitely be one of them. My number 4 is 100th Winnow. So we're just flip-flopped so far. I've got it at 4 stars. I love it. I think it's great. It is definitely less dark, less trance, less, straight up trip hop kind of beats. Not as mysterious. It's got that brighter, more like early 2000s sci-fi tech kind of sound. Electropop doesn't have that monstrous gloom of Mezzanine. But it does also kind of lose some of the sparseness, which I really prefer from, just they're less active in their time and space. There's more like busy electronica beats and stuff. But also at the same time, it's a very cinematic and like atmospheric album. I think Everyone is awesome, as it's really cool, like static stillness. I just really get cool vibes listening to Massive Attack. Like sometimes you get like these really shadowy feelings. Sometimes you're just really grooving. Sometimes they hit these notes and like these like Middle Eastern influences where it feels like you're like unlocking the secrets of like an ancient world or something. It's really awesome, really heavenly, I think might be the best word to put it. And I keep having this idea listening to their catalog. Like if Ridley Scott made Blade Runner in 92, he would have perfectly tapped Massive Attack to do the score, because they can do like that cool like cyberpunk kind of feel with their music. Yeah, so 100th Window's got a lot more of like those soundscapes in the back of the tunes. Very cinematic. Butterfly Cot is awesome. Really sweet beat. Great feeling to that. Songs like really eerie, also kind of hot. They have like a really nice underlying sexuality to a lot of their music that's just really sharp and kind of dangerous and deadly and confident. I think it's really cool, almost like a mysticism. I love the Sinead O'Connor stuff on here, actually. It's among my favorite tracks on this album. I love Prayer for England. It's got that cool mysticism for me. And the beats, like, they're obviously not making pop music, but there's a different way to do a hook when you do these kind of music, and it's really just by like hypnotizing you with the beats and the atmosphere. And I think it really infects me like that, and I really like it. Bass is really nice and heavy in the mix on this one, which I really dig. Big problem with this though, it's very long-winded. It's like 72 minutes. All of the songs could be a little bit tighter. Yet it somehow still seduces me with its steadiness. Like, it doesn't bother me as that much. I just think it holds it back a little bit. I agree. Small Time Shot Away is really cool. It's very luminescent, and Name Taken is really cool, just like sunken and mysterious. So not quite as lively and doesn't hit that really cool in between like pulse that their best stuff does. But I really like this one for like the cinematic and atmospheric nature to it, and the Sinead O'Connor stuff. So that's my number 4, and I've got it at 4 stars, 100th window.
All right, my number 3. I guess I'm going to go. This one's tough because the more I listened to it, the more I liked it, but I feel like I need a couple more to get it higher. But I got Heligoland as my number 3. I just think it's more interesting sonically than 100th Floor Window. I like the guest vocals more on this. I know you like Sinead, but no, Sinead just doesn't sound like a Massive Attack guest singer to me. I think a better fit on this album would be Martina Topley-Bird, who does the vocals on Babel. She's got this like manic pixie dream girl, sprightly vocals. I think they're the perfect foil for the bleeping and blooping, driving electronica underneath. I don't mind the bleeps and bloops when it's Massive Attack. Maybe because I just don't have the expectation that they're gonna rock out with a guitar. It just brings you in slowly to the bleeps and the bloops. So works for me here. Girl, I Love You, I think is really cool. Got this paranoid driving bass groove and some big like brass going on that I don't think I'd heard from them before. So that was a cool element that they just kind of throw at you. Different sounding for them, kind of blasts them out of their usual like laid back, ominous, into something forceful. The track's just like coming at you, which I thought was pretty cool. The 2 biggest problems I have with this album, both courtesy of Damon Albarn, actually. Flat of the Blade is just like a little too mumbly and bumbly. Just don't think he brings that much to the proceedings. Same with Splitting the Atom. I don't know, his vocals just, they're there, but I don't know, I prefer Horace Andy or any of the women singers, I think, over his just kind of like laid back, mumbly Brit stuff. Other than Babel, Girl, I Love You, I think Paradise Circus is probably the other best thing on here. Might be the prettiest thing they've done since Teardrop. It's just like a big shimmery track. And there's some cool like Radiohead bass on it as well. And Hope Sandoval from Mazzy Star on the vocals, which is really cool. Another great guest vocal spot. So this one, man, if you took away those 2 Damon Albarn assisted tracks, probably at 4 stars. I have it 3.5 still. Tough for me to like get over into that really liking area. But this one I think has some growth potential.
Yeah, that's also my number 3. And I share a lot of the same opinions, but I do disagree. We're a little off on the singers. Topley-Bird is not my favorite selection here, although I do really like the songs. But as much as I love all of the different guest vocalists on this album, I do think there's maybe a little too many of them where it's like a little distracting and it just kind of sounds like a compilation or like an all-star, compilation thing. And there's just too much singing on this album, which is what I was kind of alluding to earlier. It's very lyrics and very vocal forward. Like, it's a singer's album kind of with like Massive Attack in the background, I feel like, which is not exactly what I want. But I do think everyone It's a really good job. It leads off with TV on the Radios at a Bimpe. I think I'm saying that right. I also am not sure if we're saying Heligoland right. So we are claiming some ignorance on this video, so don't be too harsh on us if you got to correct us in the comment section. But I do really like how each song on this album sounds like it has a ton of, TLC, a ton of Tender Love and Care, not the band. There's no TLC influence really on here. Just a lot of love and affection. Each song sounds like a very special project that they really put a lot of detail and work into. The lead off track is great. They're so good at just creating really cool sounds and sonic things in the album. There's always something interesting to catch your ear up. I love the way Pray for Rain, it opens up into something really pretty. They're really good writers too. They have really cool compositions. They tell a good story in their songs. Always great bass work, especially in this album. Girl, I Love You. Yeah, it might be the best song on it. The rhythm section is really sick and the cymbal work is just awesome. Especially a song like Psych, a little bit too polluted with vocals for me at times. But, there's a ton of really cool stuff. A lot of dynamic and diversity here. I'm with you. Flat of the Blade doesn't do anything for me at all, really. And I like Paradise Circus a lot. Hope Sandoval kills it there. I like Rush Minute a good bit, but yeah, it's a little bit just not quite what I want from Massive Attack. A little too, like I said, singer focused. Although it still comes off as really, communicative and emotional. Atlas Air is really cool toward the end. So still 4 stars, still loved it. I thought it was great. And I don't think it got mentioned as a contender for me in 2011 or 2010 for Album of the Year, but that was a pretty loaded year. So I apologize for not getting it in a mention, but it's great.
All right, well, we're already on the top 2. Only 2 remain, the 2 classics. You got Mezzanine and Blue Lines, both just extremely highly regarded in the community and I think across the music world in general. To me, one of these albums comes out in 1998 and the other doesn't. So my number 2 is going to be Mezzanine. Can't break the curse of 98 for me. I love the cover. It's one of my favorite covers. That close up of Hercules beetle or something, scarab, whatever it is. It's very cool. Dig it a lot. This one, it's definitely going darker, icier, sparser. There's just this element of sorrow that hangs over this entire album. Tricky's gone, so a little bit of that trip hop element is out the window. A little more, starts off with Angel. You got those explosions of industrial guitar and drums that come in. So you're adding some new elements to the proceedings, which is interesting. But it's a great opener. It's heavy, powerful driving. I think Horace Andy's vocals, which sometimes I really like, sometimes I don't like him as much, but I think it works really well here. And he's the unofficial, I guess, lead singer because he has tracks on, I think, every album except 100th Floor Window, maybe even that one. But he has a kind of a cool reggae, higher Jamaican voice. Works well with what they do. Teardrop, obviously amazing. Everybody knows that. Elizabeth Fraser from the Cocteau Twins comes on. Just incredible vocal performance. I haven't explored them too much. It kind of makes me want to go back and explore because she nails it. I feel like that's the template for all future guest spots for albums like this, or across all genres. Just a masterful vocal work on that. But then you have a song like Exchange, where it reminds me of the background track for Wave Race 64 from Nintendo. It's just kind of pleasant and goes along, and there just seems to be a lack of things happening sometimes on this for me. Dissolve Girl, another one with strong vocals. Got some more rock guitar, just in pieces though. I don't think there's a single track where it's just all the way through, but you'll have it kind of come out of nowhere, just these blasts of big, hard electric rock and roll. And then it kind of disappears back into the trancy acid beat. Man Next Door's pretty good. I think it's a cover, but it's it has structure to it. So that's always going to thrill me a little bit more. Sometimes these songs just sort of float out there, and I just don't know what to do with them. Like I like the the verse chorus bridge structure of traditional rock and roll. And it gets me out of my comfort zone, and I definitely like a lot of the elements of this music, and I think they do it really well. All the samples, all the playing, the drums and the bass are excellent throughout. Just a lack of structure sometimes, but I do like Group 4. I think it's a good semi-closer. Exchange is the last track, but Group 4 is really the last real song. It's got some cool, malicious sounding male whispery vocals going on. And I don't know that's Elizabeth Fraser again on the lead. So the way those two combine, really cool. It's 8 minutes long. It's a little long for me, but it's just a cool sound. I just don't know. I can't quite piece together how I feel about them in general, as far as like, would I listen to this album on the reg? Probably not, but I definitely didn't mind having it on while I was, working or, doing some graphic design or something. It's very pleasant in like not like a happy way, but like having it on definitely helped me through my day. But I don't know if it thrilled me so much as just existed for me. Other than the Elizabeth Fraser stuff is pretty great, but I wish, I want a whole album of that. So I don't know. I just don't think this this genre really works for me, but I can definitely see why people love it and why they like Massive Attack.
I think a lot of people were worried you wouldn't like them nearly as much as you're saying so far, but I was like, I think he will, especially like giving how you've talked about loving like the Social Network score and stuff like that. Like you can get into the non-pop, more atmospheric stuff if it's done well. Mezzanine is also my number 2. It is really close. It's almost like a which day do I want it a little darker, which day do I not? So we're gonna have a bifecta here. I have it at 4.5 stars, though. I think it's damn near masterpiece. Obviously darker, deadlier, malevolent, a lot of malice in it. Angel kicks it off great. It's got those cool like cyber noir kind of vibes to it. A little more straightforward than Blue Lines and Protection. Not as like funky or weird for sure. And you start to get a little bit of like cool guitar textures and stuff. Even got like a little like demonic presence to it at times on this album. You really get also some more ferocious like live drum work, which I think is cool. Rising Sun is really good, very haunting at times, and has like this futuristic paranoia, very alarming. Teardrop, you already said everything there is to say. It's awesome. Elizabeth Fraser rules. Inertia Creeps was the song that I nominated in Song of the Year in '98. I love that. I love how it just evaporates at the end. It's really cool. And this album just has like a really cool, secretive, like subversive vibe to it. Yeah, very cool. I like Exchange. It's just like a nice little drop of like brightness in the middle, which is cool. Everything's still really cool and hypnotic. Love the drum sound on Man Next Door. It almost has like that similar kind of backbeat to like When the Levee Breaks. It's just really cool sounding. And Group 4 is amazing. It has like this dope, ancient, sinister quality to it. And I don't mind the length at all. So 4.5 for Mezzanine. And let's talk about our number 1.
All right. Yeah, it is Blue Lines for me and for you, for us all. We'll have to ask Jason what he thinks. He has to listen to all of them now. Love it right off the bat with Safe from Harm. I think it's a fantastic opener. Got those really great vocals from Shara Nelson coming in. There's a sample they use from a Billy Cobham song, which I don't really know who that is, but do know they have Tommy Bolin on guitar in that song. So I thought that was interesting. You got like a little bit of rock and pop coming in, but there's a lot of different elements. It's very weird. One Love has like this skank dance floor beat to it. A lot of like break beats, repeated samples, tons of samples. Tricky's doing some, some rap pretty much on this trip hop stuff. So you have this just incredible mix of these different styles and different elements. But then you have a song like Unfinished Sympathy, which is just absolutely beautiful. And it's just the way that they dance around all these different elements and combine them, I think works so well. I like Tricky's raps. If they can be classified as raps, I'm not really even sure what they would be called, but just like the little spoken word, the rap stuff, I think works really well with what they do. Daydreaming, I think is probably the best. I don't know who's rapping on that, but maybe the best almost hip hop feel to it. And lately has more of a dance disco beat strut to it, which is cool. Him and the Big Wheel, which was co-written by Nina Cherry, and has Horace Andy doing vocals, which he does on 2 or 3 songs on here very well. Got this really cool undulating synth part, really cool drum samples. So I don't know, I mean, I'm not really qualified to talk about this album at all, but I will say I think it is 4 stars. I'm getting up to 4 for them. Definitely cool, definitely something I'm not used to, pushing out of the comfort zone, but a lot of cool stuff. If you're a fan of hip hop or rap or pop or R&B or electronica, there's all these cool elements that they use from all these genres and combine them in a unique and cool way. So I think it's a very cool album. Definitely 4 stars, and that's probably underselling it a little bit.
Well, I'll sell it the way I'm going to sell it. I got Blue Lines, 4.5. Yeah, it's hard to really pinpoint what adjectives used to describe a lot of that because it's such a good, just, funneled down of so many things, and it's their own thing. Like you said, it has all of those different influences, which makes it so cool. But right off the top of my head, I love the drum sound. I love the bass on this album. I think Shara Nelson sounds great on those tunes, especially the opener, Safe from Harm. I'm kind of with you. Horace Andy's a little hit or miss at times for me. I don't dislike his voice, but I think at times it's not the right selection for the songs. And I feel that way on a couple of the tracks here, which is one of the only criticisms I have on it. It's just a really cool album is the best way to put it. It's sleek, it's sharp, it's alluring, it's sexy, it's kind of like danceable. I think you could call them rap parts for sure. And I think Tricky, it's probably the reason why I like this album a little bit more than Mezzanine. I love Tricky stuff on here. I think it's really cool. It's got that obvious accent, sounds like Pet Shop Boys a little bit, like West End Girls when he's rapping. Really cool. I dig that. It's a very tactful album. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to describe this well, but I get kind of like a blues vibe from this album. Obviously not technically, but it's like upside down blues or something. It's really weird. I don't know. Something about that is like speaking to me, but it's really chill, but also full of like this narrow focused energy that I really like. Love the title track. Love the rapping. Be Thankful for What You've Got is awesome. I love those big high vocals. It's got some really cool soul on that as well. I love the beat on 5-Man Army. Unfinished Sympathy is gorgeous and upbeat. I would not consider them a songs band, but at the same time, I had a lot of trouble tomorrow, like narrowing down the songs. I don't know. It's kind of a weird dynamic there. Daydreaming, probably my favorite on it. Love the sounds on that song. It's really cool. Him with the Big Wheel is awesome, and maybe the most fun and cheerful tune they have on the album. Really cool closer. I think the melody is really infectious and just so good. Just missed my list tomorrow. And everything, just like the grooves and everything, just encapsulate you and takes you to a different place. Very transcendent sound that they have, which I think is really cool. And that's why I really appreciate them for all of their influences. And the songs are just, like you said, pleasant, not in a, aesthetic way, but just they're very satisfying to listen to because they're just so well done. So, and I don't even think I have to be in the mood to like listen to something like Mezzanine or Blue Lines. Like if it's on, I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, this is sick. I'm into it. Really good. Damn shame they didn't have more than 5 albums because I don't think they have one that's less than really good. So yeah, pretty damn good artist. Could contend for top 100 spot, but probably not off the top of my head going to get in. But for an aggregate album score, they're doing pretty well for me. What are your final thoughts?
Well, we have 54 seconds left in my Zoom time, so I'm going to make this brief. Pretty cool band. Like them, could grow on me even more, but not my style. But they definitely like skirt enough of the pop rock R&B sphere to make someone like me appreciate and like them.
Let us know what you think of Massive Attack in our lists and whatever sort of trivia or cool things we should know about Massive Attack that we don't yet. Let us know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you next time on Taste Like Music.